Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's virtue practice. I'm here in the foothills of La Sambum.
Yes.
It's a cave where Mary Magdalene was told to have spent the last 30 years of her life. There are lots of legends, of course, around Mary Magdalene, but this is one that's been widely accepted, that she was here and that she spent time in this cave. And it's now been taken up by the Dominican priest or the Dominican order, and they've created a hostel and a place where you can stay. But the most important part is the church itself, or not the church, the cave itself, I should say.
Better.
And yeah, now we couldn't speak in the cave because of the nature of the cave, so we came down, and it was also very windy on the mountain, but we're still dealing with the wind here. It's an extraordinary place, and so many pilgrims come from around the world, but I really wanted to share this with my dear friend Catherine. When we met many years ago, she talked about this part of France, the south of France, and now we're here together, and we spent the morning experiencing what was there. And yeah, I would say for myself, it wasn't what I expected. I think when there is a idea of a particular person, and particularly what we are told, it prepares you in a certain way to meet something. And you yourself mentioned, Catherine, about this idea in France of Mary Magdalene weeping all the time.
Yes.
And in this cave, you imagine this is a cave of deep solitude and a place where she had to bear what she had to bear. But in fact, what I experienced was extraordinary quality of joy in this cave. And caves don't usually bring that out of me. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I experienced a lot of richness there that I was not imagining. I was imagining, the deep qualities of solitude that would resound. And I've been to some caves like this in the past where where Archangel Michael had presented himself, or the cave in Patmos. So you have in a sense that there is a quality that the rock itself brings, and a kind of inwardness through being in the rock. But here there was something very different, very unexpected, and this, I think, has some real connection to Mary Magdalene. So just to fill in the story, and Catherine, you can correct me because you know better, but she landed in the
Marie de la Mer. Sainte Marie de la Mer, yes.
Which obviously wasn't called that at the time, but it's called that because she landed there, and she administered primarily in Marseille, which is a very interesting part of France, very different from any other French city that I know. But it's after a certain amount of time, she made her way up to this mountain, which was clearly known as a hermitage and a place where spiritual ones would retreat to and be. And she spent 30 years of her life here, and there are also bone remains that have been discovered. But what is so potent about that is, for me, is that the rocks have known her. The vegetation has changed. It's no longer the same trees, no matter how similar they are to the trees of 2,000 years ago. the actual rocks have known her and known many human being that is engaged with the mysteries. And yeah, it was a very potent experience. So I would really like to get your for you to, can you share what that was like for you today, Catherine?
Well, the first step is to go over what the church did and what the church tells concerning Mary Magdalene. I have a quite different approach. So, yes, when I come in and I see all this gold and statue and weeping women and a sad woman and because of her sins and all that, well, it doesn't speak to me at all. But for me, like in many other situations, then I connect with my inner child that is capable to go beyond these first impressions or beyond bad feelings like anger or whatever. So we had a mass when we arrived in the cave, and I couldn't listen to what was told, but I saw water dropping from the top of the cave, and then my inner child began to play with the water because there was a drop falling down very quietly and not often. So I tried to get the water of the cave on my head. I first got one drop on my right shoulder, then another on my left shoulder, and then I found the place where the drops came on my head directly, and I got 3 of them. And so it was a kind of blessing in a way.
Yeah.
And then I felt so happy.
Right.
And so when the mass had finished, we could visit the cave and we could go down, and there were beautiful places where you could see the water in the rock, and with beautiful colors, and so yes, this feeling of deep joy came to me, and I could forget all the rest.
It was such an interesting experience looking at the rock, because not just the colour but the forms and shapes.
Yeah.
I could imagine being there and contemplating the life that you've lived, and in a certain sense the pictures of the tableau of your life being in front of you in the images, in all of these extraordinary shapes that the cave itself made.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the grief of that, or the longing, or the sadness. It was just a real sense of joyousness that came from being there. Like, even though, of course, when we encounter our solitude and our inwardness, often people expect to feel a kind of downness, but what you said, that in a way, and I'm sure many people have had this experience, sometimes in our solitude we can really access that incredibly youthful part of us that so delights in life and delights in the little things and finds absolute joy in just the tiniest moments. And it is like returning to being a child.
Yes, and there was something passing through in my mind and it's gone already, but it will come back. I don't know.
But the waters were there, they were very strong.
Yeah.
And I know you said about a song that came to you in the cave.
Yes, but what was in my mind is I think you have access to this joy, deep joy, when you have made the path, which I did in Ireland, to learn to forgive yourself. And when you accept that you're just human beings with some shadows and you can forgive yourself, then there is no sadness anymore, there is nothing,
Yes.
no grief, nothing. It's just the pure beauty of life now, here and now. And you're able to receive it and to reply to it and to, yes.
Isn't it, that's so interesting because, you know, the church, as you pointed out, you know, it focuses on the sin of Mary Magdalene, and yet it was a moment of forgiveness, the deepest, profound forgiveness.
Yes.
Of God.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, that's how do we look at something and see what it really wants to offer us, not how it wants to take us down.
Yes.
And I could see both of those options in that cave with what was presented as how we should experience Mary Magdalene, and actually what was the experience of being in a place that she spent so much time. It wasn't a place of sorrow as we were told we should feel. It was a place of joy. And, you know, being with you in that was so useful because you can sometimes wonder, you know, we came up, both had the same experience of joy, but we didn't know that the other was having it. And that's such a profound thing because you can recognize there is another level, that when you're with a friend that can access that, in a way you can also begin to see that the veil that's put over our eyes does not stop what's really there.
No, and it doesn't stop you to feel, even to see in the lights the beauty of the colors of the rocks and the little music of water dropping. And so you can have access to that and go through whatever might be heavy or sad or whatever.
Exactly. And that is quite a practice, I think, with all of life, to go through the veil of what we should be so-called thinking and feeling, and to have a relationship with what's really there. And my experience is most of the time what's really there in these sacred places is something that wants to offer some gift to us. In fact, I read one of the priests said about this cave that these sacred spaces are like the stars are to the filament. They bring light and warmth to our soul. And that's the true nature of these places. But sometimes there's a veil that's placed upon them to tell us how to think and feel about them. But I was it was wonderful to penetrate beyond that with you.
Yes, it was really wonderful. It was a great experience.
There was a song, I know that you're not that necessarily wanting to sing that song, but there was something that came to you in the church, and I wondered if there was anything more you wanted to say about that.
Well, it's a sacred song from Latin America to the are feminine, so the goddess or whatever, a sacred power of the feminine. And the song says, in your eyes of infinite water, so the connection with the water in the cave, the stars are swimming.
Wow.
And and then it's a prayer. Please purify my heart, sacred water. Please heal my heart, blessed water. Please calm my heart, water of the sky.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
Voila.
And there are these very large pools of water in this cave that is so high up, and it's and yet you can see how it sustained someone's life and was possible to sustain life in these really sacred mountains. And apparently they're like 125 million years old, and you can imagine that they have been used by others, but really blessed by the presence of this woman that was able to carry some element for us, so that we can remember that there is this part of our being that can reach out and find the joys of life.
Of course, and I think it's because she completely accepted and chose solitude, that she could reach in her inner self the jewel, of infinite life, of spirituality or whatever. And when you're in connection with that, life is just beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these winds have been with us today, and even though we've been with the water in the cave's also been you can see why people needed to have shelter. It's been beautiful, cold, and at the same time incredibly joyous. Thank you for showing this time.
It was a great joy.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to this month's virtue practice. I'm once again in the cave of Mary Magdalene in the hills or in this mountainous region in the south of France. And I'm with my friend Emilie, who many of you know and have already heard from. And it's interesting because I've been to this cave before, and as I'm working with these virtues and these holy places, my questions are many. Not just what is there that wants to be an experience in our souls, a transformative experience, what we bring it, but also the companions that we go to places with, how that actually has an effect. And that word companions has come up a little bit on our journey together through some of these sacred sites, and particularly in this cave of Mary Magdalene. It's quite extraordinary because it is not just honoured through the priestly Christian traditions, it is also honoured through the temple traditions, the royal path. And Mary Magdalene is very significant in both of those paths that often are separate in the way that they work. And we're beginning to see these new forces of bringing together these two streams. And Mary Magdalene is really significant in that picture. Certainly the way she is portrayed here and honoured here, I should say. She's really honoured here. Now this is one of those sites that has been known as an initiation site. There is a story, a legend, that Master Jacob, I think, I may have that wrong, that name, but it's a Masonic master that also was involved in the building of Solomon's Temple. Now, Master Jacques, that's it, not Jacob. That's a different Mary that we met this morning. But Master Jacques was a builder, or one of the master builders. And so the royal way and the priestly way are brought together in this particular initiation site. And it's obviously one of those places that's been a part of that transformation for many, many years before Christianity. But there is something here that really speaks of this coming together. And these companions that work together, even though we are told that this is where Mary Magdalene spent the rest of her years, there is a clear sense that she wasn't in solitude completely here. And there is also this legend of her being carried by the angels every day up to the top of the mountain for her sustenance, which is a wonderful picture that I want to keep discovering more about, in the way our not living by bread alone is becoming more and more significant to us as human beings in this materialistic age. But there is something incredibly potent here. And, you know, there are, as in many of these sacred sites, many virtues that you could say is given. But when I'm really experiencing what streams from the Mary Magdalene offering, it is as though we are really given something. It's not only that we come towards it. We've spoken about other sites where you can really feel that the people themselves make it holy. But here there is something really potent in the space itself. And if you took away all the statues and even this extraordinary stained glass that really depicts the initiation of Mary Magdalene in many forms, even if that was all to go, you would know this place is a special place. So once again, Emilie, I really like to hear, because we had already had a conversation that, as you felt, this isn't a place for sadness. There's something else here.
Yes, I actually feel there's a deep sense of nourishment here. You know, I'm in this cave, and it's very open. It is, you know, like dark and at the same time full of light. Like you can see the sun, like it's the end of the day for us here, and you can see the sun entering the cave in such a glorious way. And there's a warmth to it. It's like you're saying, Lisa, like there's something that's been offered to us just by being here. And I think that's what has been my impression with Mary Magdalene in this trip, you know, of meeting her, is like there's an offering of like strength and nourishment and joy, which has been unique for me, because the way I was picturing Mary Magdalene was more into a sense of sadness, of her like losing someone she deeply loved, and her crying, and all I feel here is actually beyond that. It's like a transformation of those tears into something that's like fueling a beginning almost, or like a streaming in my body, you know?
Yeah. And that's actually interesting because when I visited the cave last time, that my companion on that journey had a very similar experience of the joy here, expressed of course in a unique way, but this is something that for me is in my spiritual scientific mind. I want to understand more what actually lives in the space that we can tangibly relate to and convey to each other, because it's here. It's not something that we are making up in our minds. And I was conscious not to say anything to you about what I've experienced here before, so that you know it was open. And it's been really powerful, because the first time I came to the cave, I came completely as the first port of call. And this time I've returned to the cave after being at the ocean where Mary had landed, after visiting the relics of Mary in the
San Maxima, the main church of Mary Magdalene, which is in Saint Maxima.
Yes, and now coming to the cave again, having in a certain sense gone through some of those pilgrimage sites, I'm also meeting it in a new way, and yet there's still that very same thing that was there, but the difference is it's stronger, it's more available. Why is that journey? These are questions that I will continue to contemplate, because as I'm working through understanding this relationship that we have with places and that they have with us, and what we bring to the atmosphere of something, I'm also really deeply inquiring into how will that look in the future, and what are the future pathways that we're leaving behind, that these saints particularly have left their connection to their earthly life as places that we can walk and experience. But what are the travellers of today going to leave for others for the future? And so these things are really deeply with my heart, as I feel humanity move into a place where they need more nourishment from places, and yet they find it harder to receive the nourishment because we're being closed off from even that receptivity.
Yes, and I think the word that comes to mind as well, which goes with the virtue of perseverance and faithfulness, is patience and even silence. And I think, the idea of returning to something. And I know, for example, myself, I like to go back to places again and again, and really take time to meet those places, because each time they unfold something unique and different, and perhaps that's what we've been experiencing in this journey together. It's like every day we keep on meeting Mary in a different way, unfolding like a deeper sense of our connection with her, and it does feel more and more present, of course. And I think for anything, the way you meet a tree, the way you meet a person, the way you meet yourself, you have to let that in, and it takes time and that observation, but it's deeply there. It is so available.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to experience the varied ways of which people come to that. But what I do notice, no matter who's walking through these doorways, they change how they're coming in. It could be a site that people really go to as a tourist site, but the actual place seems to bring about a shift in quality. And this child has just walked through the door and immediately is because it is, something is here, something is already here.
Mm-hmm.
So this question of the companions we walk with, that's been a part of this journey as well, to see that people are, there's not just, even though we're here in Mary Magdalene's cave, it's very clear this is a place of meeting the companions and the I suppose the deeper work. So you become aware of those people that are on the path that you may never have met, but you can feel they're still companions of your journey.
Yes, and actually there's some interesting thing about this very word companions here is, you know, it's being acknowledged that Mary Magdalene is the patron of what we call in French les compagnons du devoir, which means the companions of the task. And I feel, in a way, coming here and feeling that companionship with anyone you would encounter is a beautiful illustration of that, you know, like beyond that specific organization in France, like in a way, you meet your companion of the task in those moments.
Yeah.
And whether it's in Ireland, whether it's here, whether it's like, because you have to walk up, you know, the hill to get to the cave of Mary Magdalene, somehow without even knowing each other, like you are companions of the task.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's quite something to enter into this and to experience these, I would say, a multitude of virtues that are streaming from it. Even though we've used this word joy, there is something about that word that kind of umbrellas the experience of virtue on another level. Is there anything else that you feel would be important to say?
Just the deep sense of gratitude, and also a deep sense of connection to really what's in your heart. Because what I've been feeling also meeting Mary Magdalene for the past few days is how, you know, the revelation comes from your heart and not necessarily from the pictures you're used to see about her or anyone else. And then as you go on the journey, this intuition that comes from your heart gets confirmed over and over again. And how profound and beautiful that is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one begins to realize for yourself in the deepest experiences that there is more than meets the eye, that something is working and active, that the spiritual world is with us even if we can't perceive it with our senses, and that these places in a way continue to offer this nourishment, this substance, and remind us of that which we already know, but to know that we've had companions in the past, we have them now, and we will have them in the future on this extraordinary journey. Thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you so much.
I am the one who shines through.